am I doing live? Oh, so I'm already on there. I can't figure out how to do the live on Facebook. There we go. It must be there. There we go. They keep changing how you do this. Okay. Sorry, YouTube. Dopey today. Technology. Okay. So I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Okay, no one's on YouTube. Yep, I'm on the right one. Okay. There we go. Okay, welcome to the live. I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. And so I'm just waiting for people to turn up. So I'm just letting a siren go by. I live downtown. Lots of sirens. While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. Where do you live? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where do you live? Hello, Carolyn, May. Where do you live? Just waiting for people to turn up. So I'm just stalling for time. I don't do lives much anymore. It's so frustrating because I would love to do more of them, but I used to do them every single day. Oklahoma, USA. Hello, Oklahoma, USA. I don't know what your name is. Got a picture of your little baby there. It's on YouTube. Okay, so where are you from? Hello, Angie. We've got Beth. Oh, hi, Beth. What's I going to say? It's funny. I get recognized pretty much every day when I go out. And every so often people come up to me, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? So it's really awkward, actually, because it's familiar, but they don't know. You follow so many people in so many different genres. So it's really funny. Kazakhstan. Oh, right. You've been on here before, Kazakhstan. I said I had a student living with me about 10 years ago, 12 years ago from Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan. I don't know. Southern Missouri. Hello, Mandy. Okay, so Trinidad. Hi, Paula. And Judy and Beth and Amy. My daughter's name's Amy. Some people don't realize I've got a podcast. We've been doing it for a year now. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, if you want to check that out. Anyway, I'm going to introduce myself, and then we'll get going with the questions. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go to my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board when you sign up for the newsletter, or you can look into our boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can enter the wait list for coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. It's a big wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. As I just said, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. We actually like it when people go to YouTube there. It's a really good place to chat. My daughter does all that stuff, all the social media. She works with me. And but you can see us do it on YouTube. But I know if you're traveling, it's easier to listen, not on YouTube. Earlier today, I thought if I don't get on now, I won't get on later. So it's almost 4 o'clock here. So I'm really struggling to do lives just because of time, just haven't had the time for them. But I miss doing them. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to throw out a couple of things here. Something that comes up all the time in parenting is parents keep talking to children so they understand why they shouldn't do something. That does nothing, by the way. They already understand they shouldn't do something and why they shouldn't do it. It's the lack of impulse or the lack of consequences what is missing there. It's like if you understand you should never speed and yet you still do, you don't never speed. You don't speed because you don't understand. You speed because you probably won't get caught, right? I'm not talking about racing, but you know what I mean. So yeah, it's the consequences that keep us all in check. If you knew you were going to get a ticket every time you sped, you would never speed, right? So if the kids know there's going to get a consequence every time they do a bad behavior, they're not going to do it. Right? They just don't. You got to be consistent with this. But we start small. We start with one behavior at a time, master that, and then move on to another. My daughter bought me a mug warmer. It's the best thing ever. I never used to be able to finish my cup of tea. Now I can. Okay. This is Beth on YouTube. I heard you say sometimes that if there is misbehavior while you're playing with kids, you will say, okay, we'll try again tomorrow. But then other times you say, just take away fun for a short time. Yeah, there's a million different methods I use. When should I take it away for a long time versus a short time? You take it away for a short time the first time. So if you're playing with them and they get overworked up and they hit you or hit someone else, you say, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll take a break for a couple of minutes because you just hit. And then you don't talk about it, though. Don't talk about the bad behavior. You might just get up and do the dishes or something. Put a timer on. When you say 2 minutes, it's got to be 2 minutes or else you're lying, right? They pick up. That's how they interpret everything that you say that you don't follow through with is a lie. That's the way kids interpret it. They don't have that political correctness when, oh, you just didn't say the truth. It's a lie. You said 2 minutes. You're going to take a break for 2 minutes. Take a break for 2 minutes. Set a timer. And then after the 2 minutes, you start playing. If they keep acting out, then you say, I'll tell you what, we'll try again tomorrow. So you use both methods. You start with the first one, the easier one, and then you go to the big one. Also, whenever I'm coaching people, I got a million different ideas and maybe not a million, maybe more. Anyway, so then I'll say, well, we'll try this to start with. And so we'll give that a go and see if it works. And they say, well, what do you do next? I say, well, I can't do that because you'll want to do the next one because it's a tougher one. Like what I mean is it's harder on the kids. But I sometimes start easier and see if they'll comply and follow along with the consequences, etc. But yeah, they always want to know, well, if it doesn't work, what are you going to do next? Well, you have to tune in next week. Hello from Michigan or Missouri? Michigan or Missouri? I don't know which one that is. That's Elizabeth. I don't know what MI is. How can I get our daughter to stop saying bad guy? Well, I don't know what she's referring to. And how old is she? Yeah, I don't know enough. I don't have enough information. Tabitha, I use a timer for everything now. When I bake muffins with my 2.5-year-old, the timer goes off to take them out. Like she's like, what do I got to do? That's so cute. So timer goes off. She thinks she has to do something. Yeah, timers are going to be best friend with kids because it's not just about following through. It's about checking yourself too. Like being reliable. You want to be reliable for your kids. If you're not reliable, they're not going to trust you, right? Why should they do what you say if you don't do what you say? What should they do what they say? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I'll mix myself up then. Oh, it's Michigan. Did I even guess Michigan? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. MI is Michigan. Okay, well, that makes sense. But Missouri, what's that? MS? I don't know. Okay, I'm Canadian, so I'm allowed to not know. Grand Junction, Colorado. Hi, Lilandra. Lilandra, I never heard that name before. From Talent, Oregon. Never heard of that. I know where Oregon is. We're just a hop, skip, and jump away. I'm up in BC, Canada. Okay. Okay, occasionally my 2.5-year-old girl won't get her way, throw a tantrum, and I wait for the bus. Rarely it goes on and on. And it turns into a need to be snuggled. It stops being about the item she ddidn't get. Yeah, so what you're referring to here, in case someone else doesn't know, this is Allie Ray. I've seen that name before. So what Allie's referring to is when they do start having a tantrum, you just look like you're waiting for a bus. You want to be nearby. You can be doing dishes or something, but don't get into a conversation. Don't look at your phone. Look like you're just waiting for the tantrum to end. Don't look at them. Don't talk to them. As soon as it's over, oh, you all done? No, do you want to go read a book? So you ignore the crazy, reward the calm. The tantrums are not going to stop overnight. They're going to diminish in intensity, frequency, and duration over a period of time. Because they do it to get what they want, and sometimes it's just attention that they want. And then you said it turns into snuggles. I don't snuggle during I don't hug during a tantrum, and I don't hug during the tantrum hangover either. The tantrum hangover, they're still mentally in that zone. They're just coming out of it. So I don't hug them then. That's not a love hug. That's a validating that their anger. I don't do that. Let them figure it all out themselves. I don't get involved in that mess. Let them figure it out themselves. So let's say I need a hug. During a tantrum, if they scream they want a hug, I'm still ignoring. But during the tantrum hangover, when they're coming out of it and they've got the hiccups, crying hiccups, I need a hug. I still don't hug them because they're coming out of it. You don't want to look like you feel sorry for them that they just had a tantrum, okay? So you don't want to even acknowledge it. But what you can do is pat them on the back and say, you're okay. Do you want to go read a book? It's all cheery. And then they can climb into your lap and that, but don't console them after a tantrum. That's not love. That's something else. Just curious, what are your views on writing lines as a consequence? Sometimes I do that, but other times I don't, because I don't want to use learning as a punishment. So yeah, but sometimes I've done that. It depends. To be honest, it depends. Okay. This is Big Red 6527. Okay. My 4-year-old on YouTube. My 4-year-old won't stop hitting kids, attacking her teacher at daycare every day, and is very defiant and refuses to accept consequences. And they're attacking teachers and they're 4 years old. That's a bit of a red zone stuff going on here. Doesn't listen to anybody, including me, unless I yell, and even then it's iffy. I'm not sure how to get through to her anymore. Okay. Okay. She doesn't respect you or anybody else or herself. Okay. Start with my free behavior board. You might even want to look into my course. It's a boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's just more, goes into more detail, but you can just start with the free behavior board. But if you think you're going to get the course, don't do it on your own first with the free behavior board, because the course goes into a lot more detail and you're just focusing on one behavior at a time. If she's hitting, you put no hitting as her rule on the behavior board. And then there's a consequence when she hits. If she hits at school, you have them report to you, let them do whatever they do at school. Don't micromanage teachers. Let them, and then say, can you please report to me if she does hit at school? And then when she comes home, you say, okay, I understand you hit at school. Let's go to the board. And then you follow through with the consequences. That is my tone, by the way. Okay, I understand you hit at school. A little bit of a lilt in my voice, no anger, no frustration, no disappointment. Leaders don't do any of that. You just deal with it. Do you address burnout and steps for parents to do when feeling this way? Not really. And I'll tell you why. It's because that's sort of on you. I can't help you manage your own emotions. I can't. It's impossible. That's up to you. But what I can tell you is this stuff works over a period of time. It's really difficult getting respect, but once you've got it, it's a piece of cake maintaining it. So the only thing I can help you along the way is encouraging you to keep following through, staying consistent, and things will get easier. But it's a rough road. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. It's just the way it is, And that's sort of, you're going into that self-soothing stuff, like that sort of, I don't know do you like yoga? I like working out. I'm at the gym every morning doing weights. We all have something that, helps us cope with life, right? So I don't know what would help you. You got to figure that out. But yeah, it's tough. Missouri is MO. Oh, I would have thought that would have been Montana. For Vancouver Island, Canada. Hi, Nell. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver. Is that giving into a tantrum? Is what giving into a tantrum? I forgot what I was saying. Giving into a tantrum. You mean that, do you want to read a book? That's after it's over? I don't know what you mean, Allie. I don't usually go back because I get dizzy, but, oh, okay. No, it's not giving into a tantrum because it's over. Once it's over, you connect. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Have I got that right? Is that what you meant? It's already over. And a tantrum is not big emotions and big feelings. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. And what you're saying to her, the way this method that I ignore tantrums, what you're saying to her is that crazy doesn't work, but the calm does. So that's what you're saying to her. She'll eventually get it. She's little. She's 2.5. She can start putting it together. They can start learning this by about 2. Start learning it. Oh, Big Red. That would be coaching. Because you said, do you think her mom being out of the picture could be the culprit? Oh, yes. Trauma. Yep, absolutely. Could be. If mom was in the picture, now she's not in the picture. And yeah, could be. That would be coaching. I would have to assess that. I'm Zulea in Birmingham, Alabama. Zulea. I'm sure I said that wrong. Alabama. I've had clients in Birmingham. Birmingham, England, and Alabama. I think Birmingham, England. Anyway, I know Alabama. Okay. Malat from Toronto. Hi, Malat. Hope I said that right. Okay, no, this is Rita. I understand that if a child is acting up while on a special outing, that a natural consequence would be to leave. No, I don't always say that. But what do you do if you have 3 children on that same outing, but only one is acting up? Yeah, you don't leave. That's giving into it. That's like, I can't deal with it, so I'm just going to have to abandon ship. Sometimes you have to. But if you're at Disneyland, you've got 4 kids and one is acting up, you hold them back from a ride. You say, I'll tell you what, you chose to do that, so you know that was bad. So you're going to sit with me during the next ride, and the other kids are going to go on a ride. You hold back some of the fun. Okay? And then they can still, and then you say you can go on the ride after. Now, Here's where a lot of parents get tripped up. So the kid's kicking and screaming, and the next ride comes up, like they missed the first one. Now the next one you said they were going to be able to go on. Even if they're kicking, screaming, hitting, biting, you have to let them go on it because you said you did. You said you were going to. You have to. So yeah, that's how you do it. Otherwise, they're going to be kicking and screaming. If you keep holding them back until they've calmed down, they'll never calm down. If you're at Disneyland. Anyway, it's just, does that make sense? You said you can go on the ride after. You're going to miss a ride. You're going to go on the one after. Let them on that ride after. Don't discuss it. But you were so mean. You was it. Anyway, do you want to go on the ride or not? Like, I'm not discussing it. I deal with the more you explain yourself, the more they're going to complain. You're opening the door. Well, the reason I did that, well, you shouldn't have done that. I don't give them anything to argue with. I'm like, well, go on the ride or not. It's up to you. Your choice, right? I don't give them any ammunition. Thanks for that. I'm loving your podcast. Thanks, Lisa and Amy. That's nice because my daughter, I don't think people realize how big a part of the business she is. She left her corporate job a year ago. She was helping me on the side just out of the goodness of her heart. And I was paying her. And but still, she was helping me out and her full-time job, but she loves doing this. And then she just decided, because financially it's a good deal here with me too. So, but anyway, yeah, she's on board now full-time. So she does she organizes all the podcasts, she does all the social media, all the business planning. She does all that. Okay. So yeah, she's great. I couldn't run it the way I am without her. It would take 10. I'd have to hire 10 people to replace her. And even then, they don't know me like she does. And it's total trust. I hand everything over to her. No concerns. It's just one because we're best friends too. So very lucky. But yeah, I just want to give her a lot of credit. She's very humble. She doesn't like talking about herself. She's very humble. Nothing like me. Okay, my daughter 4 will stand on chairs and tables because she knows I don't want her to, so she doesn't respect you. I ask her to sit. No, that's not going to work. But she will try to stand behind my back. Yeah, of course. If she does this, I will pick her up and let her sit on the floor. Is there something else I should do to discourage? Oh, she does have Down syndrome. Sorry about that. That would be coaching. If she didn't have Down syndrome, I'll give you my answer. But anytime there are special needs, I always say that would be coaching because I'd have to assess the situation and where they're at, what's worked in the past, what hasn't. You get the idea. But let's just say she doesn't have Down syndrome. What I would do is I would put on the behavior board, and it still might work, So put on the behavior board, no standing on chair, whatever you want them to stop doing, no standing on chairs. When they do, you get them down for safety. Then you say, let's go to the board. And you go over to the board and you say, okay, your rule was no standing on the chair and you stood on the chair. So here's your consequence. The free behavior board's on my website, BratBusters.com. You can just start with that. See how I did it? I don't try and stop the bad behavior. If I do keep them safe if I have to. I don't try and prevent bad behavior. They need to do it. They need to learn. It's up to them. It's the consequences that teach them the lessons, not the nagging, not the explaining, not the repeating, not the threatening. None of that. That's just ridiculous. None of that works. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Okay, I had parents, this is Allie Ray. I had parents who ruled with fear. Your approach is 100% effective. I luckily have followed you for some time, so my bus waiting is shorter and shorter. Good for you. I always say, I'm just giving you the information. You're the ones who do all the work. So pat yourself on the back. Good for you, Allie. Well done. Yeah, the old-fashioned authority style, it's about, 40, 50 years old now. You still see some of that, but that's the old way of parenting. It's my way or the highway. I know best. You listen to me. You respect me because I'm your parent, right? That's the authority style. It's based in fear and intimidation. Doesn't mean there's no love there, but you kind of do the right thing because you're afraid of them, right? Then the pendulum swung the other way because kids, when they grew up, didn't like the way they were raised. They wanted to have more of a voice. They didn't feel heard, okay? And also with that style, they're more likely to yell in the teen years. You know how they have trouble? That style often had trouble in the teen years because that's when they rebel against this authority, right? Then the pendulum swung the other way and the pleaser parent style came out. Just let the kids have a voice, discuss all their big feelings and big emotions, which sounds okay, but try and make life easier for them. Get participation awards for doing squat, nothing, absolutely zilch. They get an award. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Total disaster. They'll rebel right from day one and through the teen years. If you're going to err on either side, do the authority style. At least there's some parenting in there. Now, I don't do either one of those. I teach leadership. The pool story sums it up. I deal with all bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid. I focus on the connection. And they have a voice for sure. For sure. But I'm also accountable. That's the difference. Okay. I'm accountable. They're accountable, and I am. If I make a mistake, I make it up to them. That's a leader. A leader leads by example. Do as I do, not as I say. Right? Okay. Okay. This says Xanti Hill. It's Xante. I have no clue how to say that. I'm assuming Xanti, but I could be wrong. I need help teaching my girls to get ready for school in the morning. Okay. The way I do school morning routine, and I call it that, I call it school morning routine. So here it is. And I would write it out and have a checklist or something. Just make it visual so the kids understand. Just draw pictures. You should have get dressed, make your bed, eat breakfast, put dishes in the dishwasher or sink, brush your face. Brush your face, brush your face, brush your teeth, do whatever they got to do. So write it all out with a checklist. And then once that's done, so let's say you get up at 7 and you want to leave the house by 8. So you say, if you're all finished by 7:45, you can have 10 minutes of screen time. So I use the incentive method. It isn't bribery. Bribery it sort of is, but incentive is getting them to do the right thing so that they get something. When you're bribing them, it's saying you can get this if you stop doing the bad thing. There's a difference between the two. And I only use this incentive method with two things. One is school morning routine, and the other one is potty training. I don't want to go into the psychology behind why those two are the only ones that I use incentive with, but those are the only two. So let's say they're ready by 7:45, then they've got 10 minutes of screen time. If they're ready at 7:46, they've got 9 minutes of screen time. If they fight you with turning off the screen at 7:55, because you got the last 5 minutes to get out the door, the next day they only get 5 minutes. You can't take it away completely because then there's no incentive to get ready the next day. Okay, it's just one method. I got lots of other ideas, but that's the most common one that seems to work really, really well in a lot of families. It gets to the point they get in such a routine of getting ready that they don't even often watch screens after a while. So it's using incentive. You got to do what you need to do before you do what you want to do. It's teaching them self-discipline. And also you're giving them the power. You're handing them the control. Yes, Heather, this is the right place to ask questions. I don't answer them all. I tend to pick and choose too, because a lot of them are similar. And I try and mix up the ages. I go back and forth. I'm always on 2 platforms at the same time. YouTube is where I film and save I film them on here too, but YouTube is where I save all of the lives if you want to go back and watch them, and then I bounce while I'm on YouTube, I bounce from Facebook, which is my smallest platform. That's like 500,000. Then I go to Instagram, 700,000, and TikTok's my big one. So I bounce from those 3. And that's how I do it. But yeah, I don't always want to answer questions because sometimes that's what I'm here for. But sometimes something will spark me and I want to talk about something else because everyone wants to talk about discipline. I'm not about discipline. Discipline it's just a tiny % of what I do. What I'm good at is connecting with kids. I'm really good at making them like themselves and feel good about themselves. I don't let anything go. I deal with all bad behavior, but it's the pool story. Check out, if you want to see the pool story, I can't tell it again. I've told it thousands of times. I think I'd soil myself if I had to do it again. Anyway, just Google BratBusters pool story. It sums this all up. I don't let anything go. I deal with all bad behavior. When you're learning how to do this, don't. You just focus on one bad behavior at a time. But I'm level 10 with this because I invented all this stuff, right? I started doing this like 50 plus years ago. I just figured it out really young, like how to give respect and how to be a leader. Anyway, you give respect to get it. But the pool story explains you deal with bad behavior, but then your focus all goes into the good kid. Now, if you show any anger, frustration, or disappointment with kids, you're doing it wrong. You're not a leader. You don't show that. You just say, oh, okay, that was bad. Let's go to the board and here's your consequence. See my tone of voice? No anger, none. You don't want the psychology behind all that, do you? Once you get me started talking about the reason behind all this, I can go on for ages. The pool story always brings tears to my eyes. It's a good one. I have another story that is the pool story. It's on steroids with teenagers, and it's another story. And I can't tell it in public. It's kind of next level, but I tell that to almost all my clients. And it's even better than the pool story because it's troubled teenager. And this stuff just works. I lead with love, but but discipline is part of love. You got to love your kids enough to discipline them. You got to love your kids enough to make them nice. I was working with a kid once many years ago, and he said to me, he was really in trouble. And he said to me, my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. Wow. Wow. Out of the mouths of babes, eh? Discipline is love. That's how they identify it. They feel taken care of. When you make them nice people, they feel taken care of. If you allow this horrible behavior with your children, you don't deal with it, they think less of themselves, of course, and less of you. So love them enough to do this for them. But yeah, I've never yelled. I don't show anger, disappointment, or frustration. Yeah, I just say, oh, that, I would even say to I would have said to my kids, well, that was stupid. And, here, how about you do this? Give them a consequence. But if I did something stupid, they would have said, gee, Mom, that was stupid. So I would have owned it. I would have made it up to them. We had a lot of humor in our household. So yeah, we just said it like it was. Well, it was dumb. Yep, sure was. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in making mistakes, right? I didn't want my kids to feel ashamed of making mistakes because I make them. I'm not ashamed of them. I'm like, dude, that was stupid. Oh, well, maybe I'll learn my lesson. Maybe I won't. There's no shame in not being perfect. Good for you. So Tabitha said your 2.5-year-old called you on it. So once your kids start getting good at this, they'll call you out. If you do something like my thing was, God, I hate shopping. Oh, I hate it with a passion. So I've never liked it. Like a mall, I always get mall flu. I literally think I'm going to throw up every time I go into a mall. It's just a psychological thing. I hate shopping that much. Anyway, so when we had to do Christmas shopping and I had the kids with me, I would be very gruff. Come on, let's go. Like I'm dragging them along. And then they would actually smirk because they knew as soon as we got in the car, they'd say, excuse me, Mom, you were a bit rough with us in there, weren't you? And I'd say, oh, shoot, what do you want? So, then I had to make it up to them. So you want them to call you on it, but there's no emotions in that. It's just funny. They knew that I was going to take them somewhere or take them to the arcade afterwards because of it. So there's no shame in not being perfect. It's funny because we're so tough on our kids and criticizing them. And yet think of it this way. If your kid's acting out, it's your fault. I always want you to take full responsibility and blame for your kid's behavior, which you should be doing, especially between the ages of 3 and 12. You have so much power over their behavior. All of their behavior, almost all of it, they have their different personality bends in there, but most of their personality is what you see, what they give people, what they put out into the world comes from you. So if they're acting out, think, oh, geez, I messed up there, didn't I? Take the blame. People are very quick to blame their kids, which I find fascinating, and yet they're defensive about themselves. Whenever I was saying that a while ago, and someone said, way to shame the parents, and I go, yeah, I am trying to do. Why are you shaming your kids? Those are the victims. They're just the victims of you. So that's the way I want you to view it. When I was working with kids, and they weren't even my kids, and they were violent teenagers, and if they acted out under my mentorship, this was my thought. What am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? They weren't even my kids. A leader takes responsibility for kids' behavior. Even if it isn't your fault, take responsibility for it. Take the blame. I'm trying to empower you here. That's all I'm doing. And anyone who can't take that from me, you're at the wrong channel. Because I'll never stop saying that. Take the blame. Don't blame your children. They're the victims of you. Okay. This is Daisy. How do you handle a 9-year-old who won't speak and won't let you go if they are having a tantrum? I can't even ignore her because she will growl and hit. She will become violent when I try to get away. Okay, you're asking me how to deal with the red zone stuff. You got to work on the other stuff because the red zone stuff will take care of itself eventually. You can put down no hitting on the behavior board. That's her rule. Don't put down growling or anything. That's just attitude. But if she hits, that's different. So you put on the behavior board. It's completely free on my website, BratBusters.com. Her rule is no hitting. You're on there too, by the way. You've got to have a rule too. And then address that, follow through with the behavior board. That's red zone. When you've got a 9-year-old hitting parents, I call that red zone. Yeah, total lack of respect for you, only because you haven't earned it. Remember, it's not their fault. You just haven't earned it yet. You got to work for that. You got to work to get respect. I never expected it to be handed to me, ever. I never demanded respect. I commanded it. I earned it. I worked for it. Okay, I got to go over to Instagram now. So I'm leaving Facebook and I'm staying on YouTube the whole time. Okay, my name's Lisa. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, or you can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers and one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I'm sorry I have a huge wait list right now, but I will get to it eventually if you want to wait a month or 2 or 3 or whatever. Or you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. We're best friends. And it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it filmed. You can see us talking if you want to on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube. This is just the waiting. Oh, they keep changing how you start a live. There we go. Okay. I do about 15, 20 minutes on each platform. Okay. I got a mug warmer for my birthday. I turned 65 recently. And one of the gifts was a mug warmer. And now I finish a cup of tea. Before it used to just go cold. I never finished it. It's a great invention. You still have warm tea. Great gift, Amy. Yeah, she gets me a bunch of stuff. She's really generous. But yeah, it was one of my favorite things. My son's generous too. It was funny because part of my gift was we went to the mall to get it with my son and my granddaughter and me. So we went to the mall together. Well, I hate shopping and my son hates shopping. We're useless in a mall. You should see us. We're like 2 idiots banging heads at the mall. Just useless. The highlight of the shopping was watching my 21-month-old granddaughter going down the escalator with dad. I got videos of that. But yeah, the two of us were just lousy in a mall. It was funny. Anyway, okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself here on Instagram, and then we'll get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board when you sign up for my newsletter. It's right at the top of the website. You can check into my boot camp courses. It's somewhere else on the website. I've got one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look in if you want to work with me one-on-one. That's coaching, and there's a huge wait list for that. And but I will get to it eventually. So if you're interested in that, you can get on the wait list, or you can listen to our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. She's in charge of all the social media, all the planning, all the podcasting, all that stuff. And we just upgraded our microphones too. We went to like 3 different levels up. So hopefully this will be our last set of microphones. So we're just learning, right? We've only been doing this for a year. So we do 2 podcasts a week, and they're filmed and put on all the platforms, but you can see it on YouTube if you want to watch us do that. Anyway, that's it. It's the only time we ever work together is when we do the podcast, because she works from her home. She has her whole other end of the business. I don't really know what she does. And then I have my own end of the business. So the only time we ever get together to work is on the podcast. But I'm banished to that corner. She puts me in timeout. You know, I hate timeout, but she puts me in timeout all the time because I'm a button clicker. She's trying to do something on my computer, and I come over and click all these buttons and drive her nuts. I don't mean to. I'm just a button clicker. Anyway, so yeah, my daughter puts me in timeout all the time. I'm always in trouble. Okay, so let's get going with the live. Got enough people on here. It's a lower number right now, I think, because of the time I'm on. Usually I get like 100 people right away. I'll get a few thousand coming in and out. That's why that I keep scrolling to the bottom of the questions to make sure you're still here when I answer, because people come in and out all the time. I've never seen a live. I don't know what they're like. I don't know how you find a live on a platform. Anyway, I've done thousands of them, but I've never seen one. Okay. You come at this from a different perspective. This is Excelarium. Okay. On Instagram. My 22-month-old boy won't stop throwing things. Daycare have commented on it too. Any advice to get him to be gentler? You don't get them to be gentle. You're going about it the wrong way. You get him to stop throwing things. So you get him to stop being violent rather than teach him how to be gentle. Okay. Because that's impossible to teach a rambunctious 22-month-old to be gentle, but you can teach him how to stop throwing. You can only do that at home. And it's at daycare. They do whatever they do. They should be trained in how to deal with that at daycare because lots of kids throw. So let them do what they do there. But at home, you use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. And when he does throw something, you say no, and you pick up a toy and put it away for a period of time. So it's consistent corrective actions right when it happens, and it's taking something away from him or taking him away from something fun. You don't do timeout, but you can remove him from the fun. So it's sending the message right away that hitting is not going to be tolerated. He's not going to stop overnight. It's going to take a while. I would say 3 to 6 weeks if you're consistent. Okay, you asked about your son who's 5 and he's got speech delay and that cognitive and speech delay. That would be coaching, and I don't do therapy, but I do teach parenting. So if you want to, talk about the connection, how you move forward and support him, that would be coaching. I can't discuss special needs on it. I need a lot of information to answer that because you asked, how do I get him to say sentences? And that's not me anyway. I don't do that therapy. I teach parent-child connection. Okay, so, but yeah, that's a therapist's job, how to get him to say sentences. That's not my lane. I specialize in parent-child relationships. Okay. I don't quite know what's going on here. 36-month-old, mean towards other kids in gymnastics class, but never mean to her cousins. How do I approach this behavior during her class? The reason that they're not mean to the cousins, either the cousins won't tolerate it or the parents around won't tolerate it. The gymnastics teacher, obviously, they don't respect the gymnastics teacher, or there's no consequence. If I saw my kid in gymnastics acting out, if they liked it, I would pull them away from it right away and say, you can sit with me for 5 minutes because you were being mean. I would just say that. You're being mean. I'm going to sit, you're going to sit with me for 5 minutes, then put them back in, watch them like a hawk. As soon as they're mean again, say, okay, come on, 5 more minutes, kicking and screaming. That's okay. They're going to have a scene, take them out to the parking lot for 5 minutes. But yeah, if they think you're afraid of, if they think you're going to be embarrassed so you won't discipline them, they're not going to stop it. Okay. It wouldn't bother me at all. I don't care about scenes. You're going to have a scene. I don't care. My first priority is getting the best out of that kid. I don't care what anyone else thinks. So yeah. Oh, you were being mean. Come on, 5 minutes. We're going to take a little break. It's not time out because you're with them. Time out is when they go alone. That's me in the corner when I'm in trouble with my daughter. I'm all by myself. One of the funniest ones, she's a workaholic. I'm not. And I was doing something. It's my daughter who works with me. And she was doing something on my computer. And so she said, Mom, while I'm doing this, I want you to go in there in my other room. I want you to go in there, like get out of my face, in other words, so you won't bother me. I want you to go in there and I want you to do this. She wanted me to do something on my phone, some work. Then a few minutes later, she looks in the other room and she goes, what are you doing? And I was all guilty and I said, oops, I was darning a sock. I'm a real homemaker. I'm very fussy and clean. I was darning a sock. She'd given me a job to do and I'm in there darning a freaking sock. So that sums up our relationship. I was in trouble. What are you doing? Nothing. You were darning a sock, weren't you? No. Yeah, how the tables have changed. Actually, I always had that relationship with my kids. You've got to be humble. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be willing to make mistakes because then it's a safe place for them to make mistakes too. None of us are perfect. Okay. Okay. My 4-year-old has recently been whining a lot recently. Okay, I won't read the rest of it. The way I deal with whining, it's a vocal affectation. It's like vocal fry, like the Kardashians and that talk like that. Vocal fry. It's a very affected way of speaking. It's like that. It's a vocal affectation. So I don't treat it like bad behavior. But what I do say to kids is when you whine, and this is whining, I say, I want that. That's a whine. But what you should say is, may I please have? So you teach them what whining is, then you teach them, you just make it short, and then you teach them what you want to hear instead. Say from now on, and you probably don't even know when you're whining. So I'm going to let you know. From now on, every time you whine, I'm going to look at you and touch my nose. That means you're whining and I'm going to ignore you until you talk nicely. So and then you ignore them. So if they whine, you go like that. You don't say anything. You go like that. Then you look away. They're 4, they can learn this. Then you look, this works with 3-year-olds too. Then you look away. And then when they talk nicely, you say yes. And you also say, by the way, when I do answer you, the answer may still be no, but I will answer you. Okay. So that's how you address whining. Works really well, evidently. A lot of my clients say it works a charm. I can't stand a vocal fry. Um, yeah, it's really affected. Like, I'm so cool. Yeah, the Kardashians do it sometimes. I don't follow them, but I've heard they do it. It's a cool. A lot of Californians do it, and men don't do it. It's usually women. I don't understand that question. Sorry. If you wrote a question, read it again, then rewrite it. You'll know which one I'm talking about. Do you ignore bad behavior from a 3-year-old if he's tired or hungry? I meet their needs and manage their wants. So if he's tired and hungry, I do ignore bad behavior. If he's overtired, I just say, okay, let's go to bed. So yeah, I would feed him, put him to bed, meet their needs first, and manage their wants. I let a lot go if they're tired, sick, hungry. Yeah. And also when kids are sick, they can do whatever they want, right? Because they're sick. So yeah. Doesn't mean they can be mean. I mean, I'll still address that stuff usually, but it's, when they're sick, I spoil them. You should have seen my kids' bedrooms when they were sick, or the family room. I would set it up like this cozy retreat, and they could just watch screens all day. If they're sick, mom is just their slave all day long. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here. Oh, I get dizzy when I do that. Just a second. Okay, my 3-year-old fights buckling up in the car seat every single time. I always say you just force them in. Wait till they've calmed down. You hold them over top of the car seat. It's hard. And I've got another method, by the way, too. But you hold them over the car seat. And then as soon as they take a breath or start to weaken a little bit, then you just sort of fold them in, click, and you don't look at them or talk to them. A lot of times they're doing it for attention. If they don't get any, you're just holding them over there, waiting. Look like you're waiting for a bus. And then as soon as you can, you get them in. That's one thing. You got to do what you got to do to get them in there. So that's what I would do. But also, I might even put that on the behavior board. No more fighting getting in the car seat. That's their rule. And if they do, the next time, you still have to force them in. But then after you get home, you say, by the way, let's go to the board. Earlier, you fought me getting into the car seat. Here's your consequence. Don't discuss it. Just mention it. Just deal with it. Don't go into discussing it. You shouldn't do that. Why would you do that? That's all the shaming and blaming and bullying that so many parents want to do. That's for you, not for them. It brings out the worst in people, not the best. You want to bring out the best in your kids. The way you do that, you just treat it like a business transaction. Okay, you didn't get in the car seat, and that you broke the rule. Here's your consequence. No anger, no discussing it. Just deal with it. They don't act out because they don't understand. They act out because you're not a leader and you haven't got consequences in place, right? Understand. Everyone wants their kids to understand why they should be good. I don't know what you're thinking with that. Like, they already understand why they should be good, and they understand what good is. That's not what's preventing it. It has nothing to do with it. Nothing. It's like we all know we should never speed, but we still sometimes do, right? Why? It's good. If there's a consequence every time, we never would, right? How do I get my 5, 7, and 9-year-olds to tell me the truth? Put on the behavior board, no lying. And every time you catch them in a lie, there's a consequence. And why are they lying to you? Like, why would a 9-year-old lie to a parent? There's a lack of trust, lack of respect. Why would they lie to you? So you got to look in the mirror. What am I doing here? What should I be doing? Remember, this is all about you. It's not about your kids. We don't fix kids. We fix and teach parents here. That's all I'm doing here. I managed to get respect with all the kids and teenagers I worked with. Was it them? No, I never worked with easy kids. Never. I was always handed the more challenging kids. So I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it me or was it them? Right? It's your leadership. Okay. Okay, you're asking me about This is Mary Faith. You're asking me about ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. It's not a medical diagnosis. It just means you got a feistier kid. Okay, doctors have told me. It's just, you know what they've told me? More than a few doctors have told me this, because I've asked them. They invented that term to appease the mom. But what they actually did was what they did by inventing that, like they did it just to make the mom feel better. It's not your fault. I would never go about it that way. Then the mom just goes, well, I can't do anything about it. I've got an oppositional defiant kid. Not my fault. You always want to take the blame. You always want to take the blame for your kid's behavior. That means you want to take the responsibility for their behavior. Don't put that false label on them. It's you. It's not them. It's you. Work on yourself. Work on your parenting. Work on your leadership. Those are all the kids I worked with. ADHD, WXYZ, ODD. Those are all the kids I worked with. I managed to get respect with all of them. It's on you. Okay. Whenever I talk like that, I know a lot of people abandon ship and they'll never come back and see me. That's okay. I'm never going to change that message. You always want to take full responsibility for kids' behavior. I did that when I was mentoring kids. I only saw them for an hour a week. If they acted out under my care, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I never blamed them. It's not the way you do it. Leaders look to themselves for leadership. They don't blame they don't blame others for not following. If you want to be a leader, you don't blame other people for not following you. You just improve your leadership skills, right? Right? That's all I teach here. Okay. Up. Why is telling a 2-year-old to use their words instead of pointing and crying wrong? Okay. How do you get them to, you've seen me for a while because I'll explain what I mean by that. How do you get them to tell you what they want? So I never say to a child, use your words. They are using their words. Pointing and whining is their words. What I might say to a 2-year-old who's pointing and whining, I might say, now, what do you want here? Let me see. I try and work with them. I don't tell them to change. I try and figure out what they want. That's on me. Okay. If you say use your words to a 2-year-old, it's very patronizing. They are using their words. They don't understand the phrase use your words. Like it's so adult. It's trying to pull them into your world. You're trying to turn them into a mini adult and you're doing the mini therapy session stuff. Yeah. I don't know whoever invented that, but it's get on their level, get eye contact and say, use your words. So patronizing. Could you imagine if your spouse said that to you? You were all upset and use your words. See how patronizing it is? I am using my words. I'm screaming because I'm mad. That is my words right now. Don't tell me how to be angry. You see? See how patronizing? Could you imagine? How would you feel if your spouse said that to you? Oops. Boy, they'd be sleeping on the couch, wouldn't they? Okay, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. Okay. Suggestions is Jessica Lynn. Suggestions for helping working through sibling rivalry. The twins are 7, which tends to lead to hands-on between the two. Hands-on. Okay. There's lots of different ways of handling sibling rivalry. Is you don't spend one-on-one time with any of them, like either one of them. You do everything together, and you're teaching them how to get along when you do that. And you don't play competitive games. There's no winner or loser. You could do science experiments, magic tricks, arts and crafts, dancing, singing, do stuff that's creative with them together. And also you're in the mix too. You always enter in their world. You play with them in their world. Play is their love language. Fun is their love language, right? So that's how you connect. So you get in their world. And sometimes kids bond over laughing at you. I know that's what my kids did. They bonded laughing at me. So I was quite happy about that. Like, because I'm doing silly stuff with them and then, oh, look at mom, there she goes again. So yeah, you play with them. You don't do one-on-one special time with the kids if they're not getting along. If they're getting along, you can do that, but not if they're fighting. Nope. It builds resentment and animosity. Even though they each get a half an hour, they still hate that other kid during that half an hour. You see, even though it's fair and reasonable, it builds resentment. Okay. How long do you usually go? This is on YouTube. I usually go for, 45 minutes to, sometimes I went one night for 3 hours. I got really into a role because I got talking about teenagers. It's my favorite age. A lot of parents of teenagers turned up that time. And another time I did a really long one too. I had like over 20,000 in one live once. So I went on for hours. It just got me all hyped up. But yeah, usually 45 minutes to an hour maybe. I stay on YouTube the whole time, and then I jump from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. Those are my smallest platform to my biggest. And YouTube's my really small platform, but it's growing. But that's where I save all my lives. All my podcasts are on there too. Can you help with pottying? Yeah, I have a whole course on that. It's in both of my boot camp courses if you're interested. It's a whole system. So it's not I don't have any tips for it because it's a whole system. It's like giving dieting tips. You're not going to lose 50 pounds by me just saying eat lettuce. I mean, it's a whole system. So and I usually potty train at 2. I suggest 2.5 is a good age. If you train too early, they're more likely to regress. So 2.5 is a good age to train, but I still have clients who have 3, 4, 5-year-olds who are still having issues. So some of them are really quick. But I was already a leader, so I was able to train my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days. She had an accident on day 2, and that was my fault. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. So, but I was already a leader. But it's a good way to get your leadership skills buffed up too, because it's a fun system. It works on incentive. It's a whole party. I call it the potty party. Years ago, when I first did this system or wrote it out, I used to do a lot of TV and radio back when that was popular, and 20 years ago or whatever. And I turned up to talk about potty training, and they had been to the hardware store and they bought a toilet to accompany me on stage. Wow. And here I was on TV with a toilet. I thought, what a classy broad. Oh, it's so funny. They were so proud. They were so proud of themselves too. I said, oh, thanks. That's really sweet. But I was thinking, yeah, I really come a long way here. It was great. That was the first time I ever went on TV. I don't know why it wasn't sinking in that I didn't know it was live. And it was one of those morning shows, right? So I turned up and I was supposed to be on for 7 minutes. Then they go to commercial or something like that. So I turned up and I sat down in the chair with the host. Now, when those lights come on, there's a camera there. It's very intimidating. So anyway, I was sitting there and I said and they said, oh, are you ready to go? And I said, yeah. I said, I just have one request, because we were counting down 10 seconds to go or something. And I said, because they said it was live, and I panicked. And I said, I just have one request. Just make sure you film me from the waist up in case I soil myself. I was so nervous. I was so funny during that whole segment. They went to commercial and brought me back again. It was the best I'd ever done on an appearance, because I was so nervous. And I never did soil myself. Geez, it was nerve-wracking. Anyway, I was just telling a story. I thought it was funny. Okay. I get a lot of questions about stuff like this. 2-year-old knows words but refuses to do them and then uses whining. Just make sure that they say the word please. You say, what do you say? And make sure you get the word please out of them. Something like that. So you just got to wait for the right word. So, and then when they do, you say, oh, that's good, but don't discuss the whining with the 2-year-old. They don't get it, right? Just you say, please, and then say, okay, here you go. Or if they don't get it, you don't even say, please, say no, and then let them whine and just don't keep talking to them. They'll eventually learn. They learn to lean into what works and they lean away from what doesn't work. If whining works, getting attention is working, they'll keep doing it. If it doesn't work, they'll stop doing it. It takes time though. Okay, well, this is easy. This is Jacob Smith, 7102 on YouTube. Our kids love imaginative play and pretending to be various characters relevant to whatever book, movie, toy they are engaged with. That's great, by the way. They always end up fighting about who is the main character. That's not so great. The 7-year-old is never content. Okay, they just take turns. Say the main character, today you're the main character, tomorrow. So you can have every Monday you're the main character, every Tuesday, and then the next week you flip it, and So yeah, just make it fair. Say today you're the main character, then the next time you'll be the main character. Easy. That's what I would do. I love your stories. I don't care what Amy says. You got charisma. LOL. She's a sweetheart. My mom used to say about her, she used to say, what a gift. Like, she's just always been sweet from the time she was a baby. Just sweet. Never had a mean bone in her body. She's just very sweet. But yeah, she treats me like gold. I'm just such a good daughter. I'm very lucky. I remember once she was about 8 months old and she was in the shopping cart at the supermarket. And I was having a bad day because I just taught an aerobics class and I drank too much water and I was feeling sick. I drank like a whole liter. I guzzled it down. I think that's what it was. I did something stupid. So I'm not feeling very well. And she kept looking up at me. And I said, what's the matter? She was looking up and she was all frowning. She was like 8 months old. She took both my cheeks in her hands. She looked all worried and she gave me a kiss. She was worried because I looked sad. That was Amy. She's still like that. Always. Very sweet. Very, very, very sweet. My son's great too. But he never held my face like that. Okay. I don't have any information on this, but I'll just read it out just to say I've read it, and I know it's tough. A father turning your 6-year-old against you. That would be coaching. And even then, that's really tough. If I can't get a hold of that father and talk to him, very, very tough. But and often that, I'm assuming you're divorced, right? That's very difficult when someone does that. But when you're a leader, by the age of about 3.5 to 4, especially, when you're a leader, they're attached to you no matter what. No one can get between you and that kid. When you're a leader, you're the one who makes them feel the best about themselves and about life and everything. So they're going to be drawn to you anyway. So it's much harder for that other parent to build a wedge between you. So just work on your leadership skills if that's all you've got, But the father, it's a very selfish thing to do, to do that to your kids. Like I went through divorce. We were lucky. We never fought or anything. So, and we always put parenting ahead of everything. So we were lucky that way. But a lot of parents don't go through it that easily. And and if you ever fight in front of your kids, that's about you, not your kids. It's a very selfish thing to do. I always say you got to love your kids more than you hate each other. So, yeah, but not everyone's able to do that. Got to take the high road if you can. If the other person isn't taking the high road, do it anyway. It's better to have one parent taking the high road than none. I don't know what this is. It's hard for my 9-year-old to say please or sorry. I don't know if she's just shy or prideful. Do you say please and sorry? And do you shame her when she does do something wrong? Yeah, there's some shame going on there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's some shaming going on. I don't know where it's coming from though. Oh, by the way, I get a lot of questions about discipline, but as you know, if you've been following me for a while, discipline is a tiny part of what I teach. I'm more about connection. Kids love language is fun. It's play. It's happiness. It's joy. You want to be an upbeat, positive person around your kids. They're watching you. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. The first 7 years is when their personality is formed. It can shift and change over the years, but it's really formed quite early. The first 7 years, and it's all done through observation, not listening. It's observation. They're watching what you do. Okay. So yeah, think about that. Be positive, be upbeat. You want to be positive for your kids' sake. And I was just talking to someone earlier about this and when kids come to you with a problem, because I always say you don't discuss big feelings and big emotions, not in the way it's taught out there that I hear other people talking about it or that people have told me. It's not whenever they're upset, when they're mad. Let's talk about your feelings. I know that's not the time you talk about their feelings. So anyway, but then they said, well, do you encourage kids to talk about feelings? Absolutely. If a kid comes home or if I'm working with a kid, I say, oh, are you upset about something? Come on, let's figure it out. I don't go the pity road. I go, come on, let's figure it out together. We can do this. Let's figure it out. I want them to figure it out. I want to build them up, empower them, strengthen them to work through problems. And then they end up telling you everything. And you go, yeah, that would be frustrating. I can see that. What do you think you should do? I remember when I was your age, something like that happened. I tried that. Do you think that would work? You see, I come at it from a positive problem-solving perspective, right? I don't come at it with pity. If they need a hug, they get a hug. Yeah, that would be rough. So I'm right here. I'm right here. When I was working with kids, especially with teenagers, if they were starting to get violent and I could just see they were starting to get upset, maybe at a teacher or someone, I always put my hand on their forearm and I just said, I'm right here. I'm right here. That's all I said. I never would say calm down or anything. It's very rude to do something. What a patronizing thing to say when someone's upset. I just said, I'm right here. In other words, I'm always here for you. And when you take that attitude, they'll tell you everything right through the teen years. You might not want to hear it all, but they'll tell you anyway, because you're a safe place to land. So we do talk about big feelings and big emotions, but not around their anger at not getting what they want. No freaking way would I discuss that. Are you kidding me? Oh. Okay. Oh, I was going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. just because most of you on here seem to have younger kids. A toddler to me is 16 to 35 months. A 3 and a 4-year-old is a preschooler. 5-year-old is a child, etc. Okay. So these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers 16 to 35 months. They're in the discovery stage. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Okay. Keep that in mind. They're going to do crazy stuff. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with a toddler in their world, not your world. You don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They look at you differently when you enter their world. It's a whole different relationship. Number 4, discipline toddlers in their world. It's similar. You do it in their world, not your world. A toddler is not about words. They're about actions. So if they do something naughty, you use consistent corrective actions. You say one word just to start it. You say no, and then you remove them from the fun or the fun from them for a period of time, depending. And don't do the many therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions when they're mad about stuff. That's absolute garbage. It's crap. I know it's taught out there, but that's for you. That's not for them. They don't need a therapy session when they're 20 months old. It's ridiculous. Okay, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just not there yet, okay? So they're just going to do crazy stuff. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Try and figure that one out. Okay, I got to go. I'm moving over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's the same BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board if you join my newsletter, or you can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be coaching. There's a big wait list for that. So if you want to get on there, I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together, and it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We do 2 of them a week, every Tuesday and every Thursday. And I think we've got them banked till November or December or something. So I don't know what's out today. But anyway, so we have a blast doing it. And also we save all of our podcasts on YouTube if you want to watch us, because we film ourselves when we do it. Anyway, I'm hopping over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. What? Won't let me do live. Just a sec. It's glitching. Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay. Considering cutting my hair, because my daughter just cut her hair. We cut our own hair. I haven't been to a hairdresser in 20 years. I'm considering cutting one of my levels off here. That level off. The problem is that when I'm at the gym and I'm on my back, I throw my pigtails like that to do my sit-ups. And if I cut my hair, I can't do that as easily. It's a whole thing. Okay. Good question. I'm going to answer that in a second because I'm a grandparent. If you're on YouTube, you know who I'm talking to. Okay. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm on TikTok now. Oh, I've only got 9 people on. No, I've got 19 people here. I'll wait till I get about 30 and then I'll get going. It's slow to catch up to how many people are on here. Like the numbers don't show it accurately. And I'll get a couple thousand people that come and go, right? Come and go. So it's always hard to tell who's in here right now. And I don't let anyone join me on a live at all. I only did it once years ago. And yeah, it's just not conducive to the messages I'm sending. Okay. I got enough people here. I'm just going to introduce myself on TikTok now. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. And if you want to look into coaching, sorry, there's a big wait list for that right now, but you can join that if you want to wait a few months or whatever. I'm not sure when I'll get to that. Because what happens is someone said something interesting to me. What happened was, most of my clients rehire me, right? So they want to continue working with me. Lots of times just for support, right? So, but then they always take first priority. And someone said, well, that's not fair because people on the wait list. Now, if I've already been working with someone and they're not where they need to be and they still want to work with me, they'll always take first priority. So I just want to make that clear. It's just the way I choose to do it because I've already got a relationship built with them. I'm not going to abandon them just when, they still need my help. So anyway, someone mentioned that and I thought I'd address that here. So that's why coaching, the wait list gets so big. So, and I just increased my prices again to slow down the wait list. It didn't work. So I might have to increase the prices again. Sorry about that. It's just the way businesses run, because they say if you got too many people, never mind. We're trying to figure all this out. It's very stressful for me because I hate keeping people waiting. Anyway, that's coaching. So if you want to listen to the podcast, though, that's free and you can get that anytime you want. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. Okay. And by the way, another thing too is sometimes clients will say hi to me on a live. I'll never acknowledge you because I don't want to identify you as a client. So, and if I do say hi to someone, it's just because they're just a regular on a live, right? Because sometimes people will say, well, you never said hi to me. And I was on, oh, that's why. Okay. Do you have a team? Yeah, I sort of do. Me and my daughter, it's a very lean ship that we run. We are very careful. It grew very fast. I'll be honest. It grew. This business blew up overnight about 3 years ago. About 2 years ago, it really blew up. Just overnight. I went on TikTok and changed my whole life. Now my daughter's working with me full time. It's just become amazing. But we're very, very careful. We leave a lot of money on the table because we don't do a lot of stuff that's thrown at us. Because we're very careful. We want to keep it pure. It's a family business. We're here to serve you. We don't want it to become a big money maker. Do you know what I mean? If it does, that's fine, but it's not about the dollars for us. So, and we're a very lean machine. My daughter and I control everything. And it's just the two of us. If we do need help, we hire contractors. So yeah, it's just the two of us. And yeah, it's a family business. I want to hand this down to my kids. And yeah, so anyway. But I'm in the caring field, and it's always a dichotomy between caring because I sometimes feel guilty that I charge things, but just because I'm in the caring field, do you know how many decades I put into volunteer work to learn all this stuff? I don't have any guilt about that. Like I have put in the work. This is where I learned all this. I was volunteering for decades with kids in hospitals, schools, homes, through the government. All volunteer work, supporting parents and helping kids who are gone astray and teenagers. So yeah, I put in all the time. And yeah, and I'm 65 now. I can't do all that anymore. Oh, that's sweet. Thanks for your support. Okay, anyway, enough about me. Okay, let's get going. Oh, someone asked, I said I was going to address this. This is good. This is from the Ad Logan on YouTube. How large a role do you feel grandparents play in young children's development? It depends on the grandparents' involvement. I'm a caregiver with my granddaughter in that I have her a whole day a week. I have her 1 day a week. Both parents work. The other grandparents take the bulk of it because they're both retired, which is really lucky. And so, but I have her 1 day a week. I'm a caregiver. So you have a lot more influence as a caregiver because I have her all day all day. So it's different, but I love doing it. I want to do it. They would have done it, the other grandparents, but I said, I want a day with her. So I take a day off work and I'm out with her every day, 1 day a week. But yeah, it just depends on their role. It just depends on the connection that they build with that grandchild. Sometimes it's a really strong one. It's stronger when you're caregiving. It just is. There's something about care. And that's why it was so important for me not to just have her as a playmate and take her out for fun things. I wanted to be changing the diapers, feeding her, dealing with tantrums if they come up. I wanted all that. I wanted that relationship with her. It was very important to me. So yeah, that you have a greater influence over her because it's filling up her love cup with all these people who are caring for her, right? So it depends if they're a caregiver, playmate, they can still have a huge role, but it's a different kind of a role. But yeah, I think it's wonderful. I grew up next to my granny, I called her, and I grew up, and then she died when I was about 10. But yeah, I grew up next to her, and that was huge. I used to go, that was my second home. I just walk next door, and I was at Granny's house. So that was wonderful. So yeah, it depends on how involved they are. And it's not, you don't have to do that. Like grandparents don't have to do that. A lot of them just want to play with the kids, take them out to the playground once a week and that's it, or once a month. That's fine. The grandparents don't owe you anything. They raised you, they set you up in the world. They don't owe you anything with your kids. Okay. I really believe that. I don't do it out of obligation at all. But if they ask for my help, I'm in there in a shot because I love doing it. I just happen to love doing it. Okay. So, but yeah, you can't expect anything from grandparents. They've already done their job. They've raised you. Okay. This one comes up a lot. Oh, first of all, Jessica, you just go on my website. If you want to hire me, I do have a big wait list for coaching right now, but you can get on the wait list. I don't know when I'll get to it. Okay. And a lot of people abandon ship if they have to wait for a few months. They'll just buy the course. So, and then that'll work for them. So you might want to look at that first, the boot camp course. Okay, because coaching is expensive. So the boot camp course it's a good deal. So, okay. How to introduce a newborn sibling to toddler. Now, you can't prepare them for what's going to happen. Could anyone have really prepared you for what parenting was going to be like? How can a 2-year-old understand how their life is going to change? You can't prepare them for it. I just don't believe that. I think it's ridiculous. But what I would do is I would get them like their own little doll. Maybe you can try that. And I do like to have a feeding basket. What I mean by that is whenever you're feeding the baby, you have a special basket full of stuff that only comes out while you're feeding the baby. And that's what you play with the toddler with. So, okay, mommy's going to be feeding the baby. Here's the basket. And then that's your connection time with your toddler, right? So I would recommend that. So they don't see the baby as a negative. They're associating the baby with something positive. But yeah, still don't ever trust a 2-year-old with a baby. I had a friend who I used to see quite a bit, like with play dates with their little boys, and they were like 2 years old. We knew each other since they were babies, and then I think they moved on or something anyway. But both of our little boys were very gentle, so it was a really great mix. You know, we never had to worry about them hitting or anything. So, her little boy was like mine, very gentle and never did anything aggressive. She had a beautiful little baby girl, brand new, about a week old, and her son got sick of the crying, picked her up out of the bassinet and threw her on the floor. He's 2. He didn't understand concussions or anything, So yeah, they just don't know what they're doing yet. So yeah, watch them like a hawk. Okay. When does the mind stage end for a 2-year-old? I don't know. Usually it ends pretty quick if you just ignore it. They only do what works past the age of about 3.5. They only do what works. So if it never works, then why would they keep doing it? Something similar is with my granddaughter. She doesn't like holding hands to cross the street. Some days she'll be fine, but other days she goes, no, she'll pull away because she wants to walk independently. She's 21 months. So, but what I do is I grab her hand and I say, okay, we're going to cross the street now. And she goes, no. And I just go, yep. I don't look at her. I don't talk about it. And I just start walking. And she knows that it's going to happen anyway, right? I don't discuss it. I don't make a big deal out of it. I just go, yep, and walk across. Doesn't mean she's always going to be, she doesn't really have big tantrums with me yet. But just I let her know that, yeah, it's going to happen anyway. I don't discuss it though. No, well, she already knows that she has to hold the hand. She's cluing in. So yeah, once they know, I don't discuss it. Then got to hold the hand because there's cars here. Once they know that, I don't keep talking about it. Just say, yep, like it's going to happen. No big deal. You asked about a kid with autism. That would be coaching. It's more in the special needs department. So I don't discuss that. I can't generalize here because they're all different. They're all unique. I need to know a bit more history. I need to figure it out. Bit of a puzzle to put things together. That would just be coaching. I can't discuss that on a live. Parenting advice and grandparent involvement in child development. I sort of got a question about grandparents earlier. Only the parents are leaders. The grandparents, like I'm a secondary leader, I guess, but the parents, I'll always defer to the parents. Like they're very much, my granddaughters, those are the leaders, right? So, but I defer to them. But when I'm caring for her, I'm the leader. But the parent, I never would tell them how to parent or get involved in what they're doing. It's none of my business. They're in charge. That's their child. I'm just there to support them, and they're doing a great job, like phenomenal. So, but even if they weren't, it's none of my business. None of my business. I'm there for them. If they want to ask me something, I'm there. Sure, I'll answer, but I don't offer advice because, it's unsolicited and it's just kind of bossy. So yeah, their kid, not mine. Plus, I do feel different with my granddaughter. I love parenting. It was the most fun I ever had. And grandparenting is nowhere near as good because I don't see her all the time. Whereas parenting is 24/7, right? So I love her as much. But yeah, she's not my kid. And it's a little bit different. I have this urge to spoil her. And I didn't have that with my own kids. I do. I feel it. I always have this urge to spoil her. And I guess that's that grandparent gene. So I didn't do that with my kids. I'm looking forward to your teen course. Yeah, we were hoping to have it out by now, but other stuff, I keep saying this, but we are very busy and we're very careful how we control the business. We're not going to put anything out until we've got time to make sure it's great. My daughter wants to work on the other courses first. There's a few things she wants to change in those first. She always wants to make everything, really good. So she's in charge of all that. I don't have any say in that. I could if I wanted to, but she's a much better business person than I am. So yeah, I mean, I like parenting, but she's the business head. So I just do what she says. And if I don't, she puts me in the corner. Okay, 4-year-old has been having bad aggression for a full year. Any tips? Yeah, remember their behavior's on you. So work on your leadership skills. When you're a calm leader, they don't tend to be aggressive. They just don't. Aggression comes from many different sources. I don't know which one it's coming from with him, but generally when kids have a calm leader as a parent, all that stuff goes away. It just does, because they feel safe, they feel taken care of, they have high self-esteem. When they're aggressive, they don't usually have good self-esteem. He might feel that things are unfair. Maybe you're inconsistent. You're really strict one day, then you're lenient the next. That they don't like that. Yeah, they don't feel safe. So I don't know what's going on. Check out my website. You might get some more help on there about that, because I don't know what your particular parenting style is. Yeah, I do get time out. I'm always in trouble. And I always have been in trouble. I have no filter, and I'm very quick to say things and do things. And my daughter's the exact opposite. She always thinks before she acts or says anything. And I'm always clicking all the buttons on the computer when she's trying to fix something on my computer. And I have to be banished to the corner, because I'm always, what about if I push this, and I'll wreck everything she's just been doing. Yeah, I'm like a toddler. I'm a 65-year-old toddler. I'm always in trouble. I'm very enthusiastic. I get very excited about things, right? What about that? What about that? Yeah, just take a minute and think first, Mom. That's no fun. Oh, did you fully vaccinate your kids? That's a political question. I'm not going to answer that. I am not that stupid that I would get into that conversation. That's a medical issue. I'm not a doctor, so. My daughter's 33 months old. Is it too early to start the behavior board? Yeah, 36 months, 3 years old. Maybe 35, but even that's kind of pushing it. They do get it at 3 years old, but they're not great at it yet, but they really don't get it when they're younger. So yeah, I would say right at 3. 3 is when their brain, they seem to get that frontal lobe seems to just click on their 3rd birthday. It's like when they have the ability to stop and think before they act. Okay. I don't even have that yet. So, but usually at 3 years old, they have that ability to stop and think before they act. That's when we use the behavior board. Oh, do you have any advice on ADHD kids? That's where I learned all this stuff. They're not different. Okay. Yeah, that's where I learned all this. So everything I'm teaching is about connecting and dealing with bad behavior when necessary. But yeah, they're not different. I don't treat them any different. Those are all the kids that taught me all this stuff. My own kids, I didn't learn much with, because I already learned all this stuff. And by the time I had my own kids, I was a leader from day one. So I never really had issues with them. So, but all the kids I worked with were behaviorally challenged or ADHD or whatever. And so yeah, those are the kids that taught me all this. Are you Canadian? Yes. I live in Vancouver, Canada. I'm also Australian. My kids were born and raised in Australia. But when I was there for about 20 years, and when I came back, a lot of people said I sounded American, because I had no North American friends in Australia at all, and for all those years. And but I had American TV, so and my husband at the time was Australian, so I had no Canadians I was talking to, and so I just was listening to Americans on TV. So I came back here sounding way more American than Canadian. Oh yeah, I only came back to Canada because my mother was elderly and got ill, and I'm the only daughter. And mom needs her daughter when she's aging. So I came back to help with her and be here for her. And she died in my arms at 93. It was beautiful, a beautiful goodbye. So yeah. And then of course my kids had grown up here. So we're here now in Canada. I love Australia. I would never have left if it wasn't for my mom, ever. I loved it. Loved Australia. Love Canada. I love the United States. I've never been to a country that I hated. Oh, that's not true. I went to one once, years and years and years ago, 50 years ago. Yeah, I just had a bad experience there. But yeah, there's good and bad in every country. So yeah, I'll tell you the story of my mom. Quick, she was my idol. She was my leader. She was my best friend. And all our life, especially we got really close when I became an adult, like really close. And we talked every single day. When I moved back to Canada, we used to email every single day, sometimes 2 times a day. And it was like a daily journal. We talk about everything. She was very funny, very positive, just a wonderful person, very warm and funny. Anyway, and then when I moved back to Canada, I moved, of course, near her. So I was only like a 5-minute drive away, and if that. And so I would see her every day. But, after a few months, we missed the emails. We started emailing again. We lived like, a few minutes away, and I saw her every day, but we still emailed every single day. Isn't that crazy? Because it was just a daily journal. We spilled everything out. I always said, she never missed a fart. I mean, she heard about everything in my kids' lives, my life, and it was vice versa. So anyway, we used to laugh and say on her deathbed, we wouldn't have anything left to say because we'd said it all every day. We said, I love you, how much you mean to me. And she adopted me. She always said best decision she ever made was adopting me. And we're very close. Anyway, so on her deathbed, and the doctor said she's, this is the last minute or two with her. So I was holding her and I was crying, but I was trying not to. I wanted to stay, and the doctor said once they stop breathing, their brain's still going for a while. They can still hear you. So even though she couldn't see or feel anything, she could still hear me as she was dying. So that I was prepared for this. They guide you on how to do this. So anyway, I'm holding her and I'm talking to her. And I said, you're right, Mom. We have nothing left to say, because we always said that. And here it was actually happening because we used to laugh at that. So here, you're right, Mom, I've got nothing left to say. And her very last breath was a laugh. And she went, huh. And then that was it. It was a laugh. So isn't that a beautiful way to go? Wow. Phenomenal. Anyway, that was beautiful ending because she was 93. My dad died when he was 53. It was tragic. I was young, but this was a beautiful ending. So yeah. But anyway, I will end on that note. And, I feel very fortunate in that I had wonderful parents. They were very loving, never yelled at me. I always felt very heard. They gave me a lot of confidence. And that's what I tried to do with my kids too. And I like to think I accomplished that. So it's nice. I wanted to repeat. I was tougher on my kids than my parents were. They let me get away with a lot more. My dad especially, but then he died young, so that all ended. And my mom was the leader. And but I was very fortunate to have had that start in life. And that's what you want to give your kids. You want them to feel great about themselves. They can tell you everything, and you're a safe place to land. And I want you to enjoy parenting too. It's not just about raising good kids. It's about enjoying the process. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching if you want to work with me. There's a big wait list for it. You can get on there and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Or you can just listen to our podcast. We do 2 of them a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. My daughter and I do it together. She's in charge of all that sort of stuff. And it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And if you want to watch us do it, it's on YouTube. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting.